All right, so good day to everybody. Welcome back. Thanks for being here. Gentle reminder as always to hit the likes button on the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the content as well, because those are all free and easy ways to support the Formula Sports channel. In this video, I will be touching on our disappointing start to the Copa America campaign. The Reggae Boyz would have lost 1-0 to Mexico in last night's game. In my humble opinion, we were unlucky to come away from that game with absolutely nothing. Very unlucky not to come away from the game with something, but it is what it is. Up next, Ecuador, who surprisingly lost to Venezuela in their first game. Venezuela cracked the group wide open with a 2-1 victory. Ena Valencia, their top striker, Ecuador's top striker, got a red card in the game as well. So, yeah, man, we won't have to deal with Ena Valencia when we play Ecuador. So I guess that's one positive to come out of that result, right? You guys see the title, ladies and gentlemen. I kid you not. I am not trolling Heimal Grimson. I am not making fun of Heimal Grimson. I am not being sarcastic. Right, what we saw in last night's game from Heimal Grimson was basically a masterclass in how to go long. I kid you not, a masterclass in how to go long. A long ball clinic is what Heimal Grimson put on in Houston last night, ladies and gentlemen. Long ball fiesta. Long ball fiesta, long ball clinic. I am not the biggest fan of the long ball style of play. You know, many of you who consistently watch my channel would know that. But if you're going to do it, at the very least, do it the right way. At the very least, do it the right way. And what we saw from Heimal Grimson last night was a long ball clinic. I kid you not. Structured and dynamic long ball play is what we saw from the Reggae Boyz last night in Houston. I kid you not. Structured, dynamic long ball play that really worked to our advantage. It stretched the game. It stretched the game, and that worked to our advantage. And it enabled us to get into relatively promising positions to be a threat. It enabled us to exploit Mexican weaknesses, and it enabled us to exploit space as well. And trust me, man, ladies and gentlemen, it was an absolute clinic. Not the biggest fan of the long ball style of play, but if you're going to do it the right way, right? We saw outlets in space to receive those longer passes, and the team was structured in a way that we saw from the Reggae Boyz superiority in matchups for aerial duels. We even saw where, for instance, Shamar Boza Nicholson and Mikel Antonio were rotating up front and were, frankly speaking, going all over the place, right? And you know, it caused problems. It caused problems, and that's why a lot of those important aerial duels, we won those aerial duels, because the long ball style of play, you know, it was done in the right way. Ladies and gentlemen, I've never seen so many long ball variations in one game from one single team. I've never seen so many long pass variations in one game from one team. Honestly, it was a master class in how to go long, right? And I think the way how the long ball style of play was implemented in this game, I think it was done that way because Heimal Grimson would have learned his lessons from the last time we played Mexico. If you had watched my preview, you would have seen me say that the long ball style of play didn't work the last time we played Mexico. Why? It was just one type of long ball from back to the center forward to win the aerial duel, to win the first ball. It was just basically that. Mexico figured it out quickly. I think they came prepared for it. I think they were prepared for it in that game. And they nullified that. And so it prevented us from getting up the pitch. And it was just wave after wave, especially in the first half. I think Aymar Grimson learned from that and implemented the long ball style of play very, very differently in this game. As I said, so many different variations of long passes from the Reggae Boyz in this game. It was crazy, man. And to different players as well, not just one player. Long balls to the head of Boza, long balls to the head of Mikel Antonio, long balls for center forwards, making runs in behind the Mexican defense into the channels. Grimmy even switch up the thing. You know, we're building out short passes from the back. We are trapped the Mexican pressure, then we play over that pressure. You know, long ball to the center forward, dropping into those spaces previously occupied by the Mexicans before they engaged in the pressure, or long balls, you know, to the center forward again, making the runs in behind. We saw where the Reggae Boyz was building up from the back down one side, then boom, one long diagonal, switch the play and just completely catch the Mexicans off guard, catch the Mexicans out. You know, a long diagonal to Demarai Gray in space, hugging the touchline, you know, or to a winger like Demarai Gray again, making the run in behind the Mexican fullback. It was so many different variations of long balls. Mexico it was just so many different types of long balls. Mexico couldn't have an answer. Mexico couldn't find an answer for all of those long passes. It's just as simple as that. And then on top of that, again, we are switch up the thing sometimes, where on some plays, a straight build out from the back, especially when Mexico wasn't pressing so intensely. A straight build out from the back. You know, short pass building out from the back. That's one of my critiques, by the way, of the performance last night under Aymar Grimson. One, and it speaks to how the team is being drilled or is not being drilled properly. So this is a Aymar Grimson get belt buckle right now where this is concerned. One, there are too many gaps between our players, too much space between our players when we were in possession and building out from the back. When they see how the Mexicans, when they juxtapose that with how the Mexicans were building out from the back, when they were in possession, their players were a lot more compact, a lot closer together. So Aymar Grimson needs to get the drilling of the players right where that is concerned. Also, too much individualism from the boys as well. You know, there were a number of plays where there was the opportunity to do combinations, to break lines and to progress the play. And instead of engaging in those combination plays, basically, you know, the player on the ball decide to beat a man, so to speak, unnecessarily so, or do it on his own or progress the ball on his own. Seeing one of the things I also want to touch on, which I was very impressed and happy to see, was Bobby De Cordova-Reid playing the role of central midfield, right? He was basically tasked with receiving the ball from the back line on the half turn and kick starting our attacks. I've been calling for that for some time. That also happened the last time we played Mexico. If you remember, in the second half, Grimmy did switch up things. One of the things he switched up was to put Bobby De Cordova-Reid in central midfield. And the team looked much better in the second half in the last Mexico game than we did in the first half. And I've been kind of calling for that because it makes sense. I'm not the biggest fan of makeshifts, but this is a makeshift that makes sense in terms of trying it to see if it can work going forward. Bobby De Cordova-Reid, while he is traditionally a wide player, he has played a lot of games in attacking midfield, which requires him to receive the ball in very tight spaces with players all around him and surrounding him, and receive the ball on the half turn. So his muscle memory is used to being in those types of positions, even though, you know, playing as a central midfielder would require him to be dropping a bit deeper and receiving the ball a bit deeper. And so, it's a little bit different, but it's not all that much different. And we don't have that type of player in the team that can be that controller to kickstart the attack and to receive the ball from the back line and get the attack going. We don't have that sort of player. Demarai Gray can do it, but you don't want him dropping all that the way deep, so deep. We need that player. And if we need to try and see if Bobby De Cordova can be that player for us. And I think he did very well where that was concerned last night. I think we were a lot more settled in building out. Whenever we were building out, I think we were a lot more settled and we looked a lot better. Also, Bobby De Cordova's main attribute is he's a very good link man. And I've been very critical of Bobby from Jamaica and also Fulham. I don't think he's in the game as much as he needs to be or as he should be, and especially with his linkman attribute. If we can get him into the game as much as possible, it can aid our progression of the ball in build-up throughout the respective, and going into the throughout the respective third. So that was something I noticed and something I was kind of happy to see yesterday. And Bobby did relatively well where that was concerned on both sides of the ball as well. I know a lot of people were a bit critical that Imar Grimson didn't have a defensive-minded player in that pivot. But to be fair, the structure, the 3 at the back in possession, the 5 at the back out of possession, it basically, to a certain extent, hid the fact that we did not have a defensive-minded player in the pivots, right? Because, we had numbers basically in the central zone, right? One of the things I want to really address, I hear a lot of criticisms about the goal that we conceded and people attack foolishness about our Imar Grimson fault with the subs and this and that. People, to be honest with you, did the subs cause the goal? Probably. In all fairness, yes, the subs caused the goal, right? Were the substitutions necessary at the time? Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, which game you know I watch? Which game you know I watch? If you know I watch the game, you guys would have seen that probably the 10 or so minutes before the subs were made was the most vulnerable we were looking in the game. Facts, and the most dangerous Mexico had looked in the game up until that point. There were about 2 or 3 plays before the substitutions were made that Mexico carved us open right through the middle and created some dangerous plays and some dangerous opportunities. The fact of the matter is that when you look at and you examine what was taking place at that time, the gaps in the central zone started to appear and they started to get bigger and bigger. In my humble opinion, the Mexicans took notice of those large gaps being formed in the central zone and started to take advantage of it. I don't know if the team was tiring, losing concentration or what. Those gaps started to appear. Mexico started to penetrate and break our lines and was playing right through the mid-levels and looking very dangerous. Those substitutions were absolutely necessary. I agree, the subs caused us to concede the goal, but for beat Grimmy for that, I think is very unfair. People are just one of them things there. Yes, the subs were not settled and the subs weren't fully in place, right? And we conceded the goal basically immediately after the subs were put in, and they weren't fully switched on for that second phase of that play that we conceded the goal. And so, ladies and gentlemen, are one of them things there, but honestly, I think it's very unfair to criticize Imar Grimson for that. Dishon Bernard, for example, is one player that I saw lagging and was caught a bit out of position rather, on a few occasions, was out of position and was starting, he did start for lag, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't blame Imar Grimson for those substitutions one bit. They were absolutely, absolutely necessary, right? The subs that I beat Heimal Grimson for was the offensive subs took way too long. Way too long, right? They were 7 to 10 minutes overdue. Long overdue, right? From a run of play standpoint, in terms of how the game flowed, we started the game on the back foot. However, as the game progressed, we started to grow into the game. The Mexicans in the early stages of the game, they were swarming us. It was a Mexican swarm, and they were double teaming us. A Reggae Boy get the ball, and at least 2 to 3 players instantly around him. Mexico was also quicker and more aggressive to the ball, and because of that, it took us a little while to get into the game. But obviously the Mexicans couldn't keep that up the entirety of the game, and we started to grow in confidence in the game as well and get into the game. And for the middle portion of the game, from about the last 20 minutes of the first half to about the first 15 minutes of the second half, we were basically going toe to toe with Mexico, and then unfortunately we scored, and the goal was unfortunately chalked off because of, Mikel Antonio was just a tad bit offside. And I don't know if the team lost motivation or, tiredness started to kick in or what, but again, that 10 minutes before the subs, Mexico were looking very, very, very dangerous. To be fair, after the goal was conceded, right after the subs came on, the substitutes stabilized the central zone for us, and Mexico were not receiving a lot of joy in that area for the remainder of the game. Players like Hector Michael Hector and Damian Lowe, my God, Damian Lowe did well when he came on, right? Individual player performances, Dexter Limbikisa was Jamaica's man of the match for me personally. Gone are the days when opposing teams used to only attack us down the right side of our defense. Amari Bell used to drink lemonade when him in a left back, cock up him foot. He now have nothing to do. Teams are only attacking us down the right hand side of our defense. Those days are long gone. Dexter Limbikisa has put a stop to that. On both sides of the ball, Dexter Limbikisa was brilliant. Brilliant. He even assisted the goal that was chalked off. He was under pressure, significant pressure, and still managed to get the cross in with his weaker foot, a brilliant cross that found the head of Mikel Antonio. Offensively, defensively, he was brilliant. He was also our out ball in attack, in build-up rather. He was our out ball in build-up whenever we were progressing the ball out from back and Mexico was pressing us. Dexter Limbikisa was the out ball that was constantly finding himself in spaces. Whenever he got the ball, he did well with it. If a build-up broke down, if a build-up play broke down, and if a Limbikisa white break down, probably the person where Limbikisa passed the ball to or the foolish and lose it. But Limbikisa was brilliant. Jamali Waite was very, very good as well. A close second for man of the match. Not far behind where that is concerned. Made some very good saves. And, we know about his ability on the ball, his ball playing ability and his distribution really played a significant role in helping us get up the pitch. Mikel Antonio, brilliant, brilliant. He's winning the first balls, winning those aerial duels, getting to those balls in behind first, single-handedly, getting the team, receiving the ball, making it stick, single-handedly bringing the team up the pitch on certain plays, winning individual battles, whether on the ball or off it. Mikel Antonio was a monster, was a beast last night. Unfortunately, he couldn't come back on side quickly enough for the goal to count. But Mikel Antonio was very, very, very good in last night's game. Demarai Gray, I've seen better games from him, but to be fair, he did well as well. But his standard is so high. He also played a major role in helping the team progress the ball and get the ball up the pitch on a number of occasions, and played a major role up top for us whenever anything dangerous was taking place up top. Demarai Gray did well, but he does have some levels to go in terms of he can play better. Bobby Reed spoke about his performance as well on both plays, on both sides of the ball, rather. I think he was very, very good. Casey Palmer, he was okay. On both sides of the ball, he was okay. He wasn't great, but he was okay on both sides of the ball, especially relative to some of his previous performances for Jamaica, in which he was garbage. This was probably Casey Palmer's best performance for the Reggae Boyz. No lie. Shamar Boza Nicholson did absolutely nothing in the game. The only explanation Imal Grimsey can give me for taking off Antonio and leaving Boza on for the entirety of the game was that he was trying to get Boza much sharpness, much fitness, because he wasn't getting a lot of game time for Claremont in the latter stages of the league season, right? He was abysmal. I don't think Boza did anything of note in last night's game, right? To be fair, the entirety of the team, the entire team, for the most part, the entire team, for the most part, the team, the players had good games individually, with the exception of one or two. The substitutes did well as well. Man, Damian Lowe, sometimes me look at me if I wonder if I prime Busquets that. I may say, no, and a Busquets that, and a Lowe. Damian Lowe did very well on both sides of the ball, played a major role in stabilizing that central zone after we conceded the goal. To be fair, those players, those subs, the defensive subs could have been a bit more switched on when we conceded the goal, but after that, they were good. Kaheem Dixon was a live wire. Dixon surprised me. He was a live wire. He did very well. Had some bright moments. Whenever he got on the ball, he had some bright moments, and he was a live wire. In his little cameo, he did very well, right? All in all, we lost the game, yes, true, but hopefully we can get something from the Ecuador game. Seeing, hopefully. Knock up the likes button, subscribe to the channel, and share free and easy ways to support the Formula Sports channel. Take care, guys. Stay safe. Hit me up in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. And until next time.